And the Dublin man that's willing to go anywhere to honour any footballer, the great Jimmy Keaveney of a later era. Tasha Shah. There's all types of people here. The former Clare and Meath cornerback Mick Downs, he's here. His son Aidan is playing for Dublin in that replay in Carlow tomorrow. Tá fáilte in Mick Downs, Clare and Dublin. Tá sin seo. (1967), he was off again playing soccer. Now this soccer must be something that got into you. And somebody told me you're going on a soccer trip shortly again. Tell the people about that.
Martin O'Neill said a few good words about me, so I'm going over to see him. Does he know me at all?
You're going to check him out?
I'm going to check him out.
So where are you actually going?
I'm going to Celtic Park on the 24th of, I think 25th of October.
And you have a ticket and everything?
Well, I'm going, if I don't get to the box, I'm not going.
Oh, yeah. An ordinary ticket is no good.
No good.
No.
I've got everything else.
You've got everything else, but
I got a ticket to the Gaelic Gear, and I think every club in Down should support the Gaelic Gear. A wee bit of opposition till O'Neill's will do no harm. And the only thing that I haven't got now is, I used to say to Kevin Musson parading around the field.
But now the O'Neills, they're not Kevin and Sean.
No. I said to Kevin Musson, someday I'll sit in them cushion seats. Yeah. But I haven't made it yet, but I've got everything else bar that.
And you're going to do it?
I'm going to try.
Now, what did Martin O'Neill say about you that led to all this?
Well, he said that in the 60s, he says, we followed the Down team. And he says they were the team that drew the crowd. And he says the man that I appreciated was Paddy Docherty, could score from any angle. And he finished up to saying, this man would have went a long way in the soccer. But he says, a young Paddy Docherty, I'd be rushing to sign him now.
Yeah.
So I must have been some good at the soccer.
You must have. So anyway, you're going to see it anyway. So 67, he missed out on account of the soccer again, but he was back in 1968, and believe it or not, for the third time in the same decade, Down beat Kerry in championship football, and that's a record they hold to today. They met Kerry 5 times in championship football, and they beat Kerry each time. 68, yes. 68. A few of them here tonight, and a good few. The Prince of Cornerbacks, Tom O'Hare, and players like Larry Powell and Dickie Murphy, they had come onto the Down team a few years earlier, but there were plenty of new faces as well for 68. The tigerish cornerback, Brendan Sloan, the character of the team, the man with the beard, Danny Kelly, who came over from Scotland tonight, halfback Ray McConville, towering midfielder James Milligan, Willie Doyle, father of the rising star Liam, and those flying forwards, Mickey Cole, Peter Rooney and John Murphy, all heroes of 68. They're all scattered around the hall there tonight. So 68, a mixture of the old and the new. I think 4 of the 60 and 61 men, but the man of the match was one of the young newcomers, Colm McAlarney. Corrigi Falter and Ordon and Ishrimish, Colm McAlarney. Colm. How are you, Colm? Now, Colm, you came on as a young fellow.
Yes.
You had watched the like of this man over a good number of years. What was the feeling getting onto a team that had fellows like him?
Well, it's feelings of just gratitude and regret. Gratitude that I was privileged enough and lucky enough to be on the same team as Paddy for 4 wonderful years in the late 60s, and regret that that wasn't for nearly long enough, because sadly Paddy was coming to the end of his career as I was just beginning mine. And mind you, when I think of, especially maybe in the early 70s, when it was still possible to win an All-Ireland, before the great Kerry and Dublin teams snatched Sam away from everybody else for over a decade. But in those years of the early 70s, had we had Paddy in his prime, there's no doubt in my mind, especially a couple of years like 71 and 74, that maybe another All-Ireland would have been possible. That's how important he was.
Colm, the first time you came into a Down dressing room as a senior player,
Yes.
Paddy there.
Well,
What was your regard?
Well, I'll tell you something about him, and that's shining through tonight, is his wonderful personality. He had an impish sense of humour, a bit of a mischievous rogue. You would have been maybe in the dressing room and before maybe an important match or something, young, inexperienced player, trying to get yourself set for the match, and you maybe would have checked in your kit bag, no boots there. Docherty had thrown them in the shower somewhere. Or maybe your socks were tied up in knots. But the thing that, it was good in that sense that it just, relaxed you. And yet, before we would head out on the field, I remember very well for any of those matches, just before you left the dressing room, there would have been his parting shot in that distinctive voice of his. Remember, boys, it's a long way home, mate. All I can say is, and just all I can say about that is when Paddy was on your team, the journey home was generally very short.
And there was no sort of resentment for new people coming in and taking...
Absolutely not. No, that older group of players, Sean and Joe and Dan and all those players, I mean, there was, you could say, nearly a generation gap because there was a group of young players who had come through, but they were wonderful for settling you down and giving you encouragement and giving you the confidence to go on and play.
I know you're here in your own county at the moment. Would it be true to say that his likes hasn't come since?
Absolutely not a chance about that. Just the thing that stands out in my mind about Paddy is just his astonishing accuracy. He was a beautiful striker of the ball, sure and confident every time. I think the way it was with Paddy, it seemed to me that if he got possession anywhere within the 50-yard line, the umpire was already reaching for his flag, and the only hesitation the umpire might have had was what colour of a flag to reach for. But the other thing that stands out as well is he could hit a ball so hard. Sean mentioned about penalties. 35 years ago, it's hard to believe it, we visited New York as All-Ireland champions, and we were playing the hosts, New York, in a 2-game series. And I think John Kerry O'Donnell, the late and great John Kerry O'Donnell, I think was looking for redemption for all the Kerry teams that Down had beaten. But a memory stands out in my mind about Paddy. They were ferocious games. And in one of those matches we were awarded a penalty, and who better to step up to hit it than Paddy. But anyone who remembers Gaelic Park in those years, there was an awful lot of woodwork and boarding at the back of the goals for some reason. It might have been a good idea to have the woodwork in the front of the goals for Paddy, but he stepped up and hit the penalty, and the ball hit the back of the goals, ricocheted out past all of us, seemed to not settle until it was past the middle of the field, and the goals and everything seemed to me to shake. He hit a ball with unbelievable venom. So that's definitely a memory that stands out in my mind.
Colm McAlarney is still looking fit enough to make a comeback for Down. We'll meet him at a good point. Docherty Docherty in the 70s, and 1971 saw the curtain come down on Paddy Docherty's inter-county career. He played against Galway in the All-Ireland semi-final, but as Sheila McNulty recalls in the Down history, even Mo's genius, with his unmistakable jink, could not save the day for the red and black. That was the end of inter-county action in Croke Park, 1971. Paddy, it lasted a long time. Could you give us 2 special memories from all those years, maybe, that you haven't mentioned yet? 2 unusual things.
Well, the first unusual thing was it was easy for Kevin Musson and myself to captain the team, because it's easy captain a good team, but it was harder for Joe to captain because there was a lot of new kids in the block, but they were good kids. And
so the earlier team was a team that came all together, more or less.
It did.
Yeah.
But any team that wins in All-Ireland is a good team.
Yeah.
But as I said to the Kerry men down in Donaghmany, there's one far too many All-Irelands. I was hoping that we should have won 62. I have 4 of the family, and I've only 3 medals.
Yeah.
And
Well, the president of the GAA is here, so I'd recommend that when the night is out, you can have a word with him about getting some sort of a medal for the 4th member of your family. Anyway, that was 1971. Were you aware of the fact in those days that you had a fantastic following, not alone in Down, but all over the country?
I know now.
Yeah. You had no idea that time how you were regarded all over the country.
I suppose I was well enough regarded, but I see the need to many people like me playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, to illustrate that it was not just people who played football and who went to Croke Park regularly that had an interest in you and Down at the time, one man travelled all the way from Mill Street in Cork to be here tonight, Noel C. Duggan, more regarded as show jumping and all that, and Noel C. Duggan, he came here tonight. How will Noel C. Duggan? And a little note that fell into my hand by accident during dinner down there. It just said, "Congratulations, Paddy, from the Keenan family," I think it's Ballyduggan Road, Down Pat, "for all the pleasure and joy you brought to your local fans, especially our late father, Hugh Keenan. You were his number 1. Do you know who you...
I do, yes.
Yeah, from Down Pat. Yeah, was he a regular at all the games?
He was, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, so far we've mentioned Down and Ballykindler, but we should say something about the Railway Cup, where you set scoring records. And the Railway Cup, Paddy, that was a huge competition, wasn't it, in those days?
Well, it was, we played the Railway Cup. The parade was in Dublin on the 17th of March, and there was 50,000 people at the Railway Cup final. But I think it never should have been dropped. But I think the club championship done away with the Railway Cup.
Tunnel of Cavan. Like PJ McElroy, I saw Jim MacDonald play for UCD, and I saw him give the finest display of half-back play that was ever seen in Croke Park when his team were being beaten to the ropes in the semi-final of 55. This is the one man that stood against him, Jim MacDonald of Cavan. So, now, Jim, you had the privilege of playing in the same Railway Cup teams as Paddy Docherty.
Yes, I had. I played both with him and against
You
him.
can move in a little
But
bit.
Paddy, so many things have been said about him tonight. There's very little more that can be said about him, but he was one of the great players, but as well as that, he was a great sportsman. And I think he would have made it as a comedian as well if he had
If he had time. Now, you played in the half-back line for Cavan.
That's
I'm
right.
sure you marked him directly on a few occasions.
No, I don't think I ever did directly. I was on the other
You were in the other way?
fella, Sean O'Neill.
Yeah,
But we had some great struggles.
yeah.
And the late Tom Maguire and myself and Hubert Gaffney had the job of marking that half-forward line of Sean, James McCartan and Paddy, and it was no easy job.
Yeah. Now, going out to play in a Railway Cup final, was Paddy the sort that he'd have advised? Would he ever get up in a dressing room and make a speech
No, he
if
wasn't.
he wasn't captain?
No, he wasn't that type at all. He might whisper in your ear, all right.
Like
But now, well, tell you, that it's a big day for Ulster. And
for Ulster?
for Ulster, there was
Not a big day for Paddy Docherty,
No,
a big day for
there was
Ulster.
a great camaraderie among the Ulster team, and Cavan and Down in particular got on, and they all got on very well. And I think the Railway Cup helped to give Ulster the feeling that they could take on the rest of Ireland. And probably it was a great mistake that it's gone down, I think.
Yeah. Now, Sean O'Neill touched on it, and Colin McEllarney the same thing, that he was a team man. It wasn't himself. It was Down, or it was Ballykindler, or it was Ulster.
Yes, that's the way Paddy played. He played for the team all the time. And Red Collier there, I was sitting beside him, and he says, you didn't want to give him a sniff at the goals at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and keep him away from the goals if you could at all.
So you were talking to Red during the
I
night
was
as
sitting
well.
beside him down there.
Now, did Red honestly say that he was a great player? Is there
No.
anything now that you would like to repeat that Red said about him?
Well, he didn't say he'd break the second leg, no.
Yeah. Now, Red, had Paddy the same respect for referees that the Red had?
I never heard Paddy given out to the referee. He was a real sportsman, and he took what came. And
Didn't
he
complain.
played hard. I never heard him complain, and not against Cavan any, but they were very
Yeah.
quiet. You know.
So you wouldn't have missed tonight, Jim? Would that be?
I'm honoured to be here with Paddy. I reckon he was one of the greatest of all time, and it's a privilege to be here with him.
Jim McDonnell, O'Choon Dan Cavara. Paddy, we can't leave the Railway Cup without mention of a special year, 1965. If you like, a shootout between yourself and Cyril Dunn. Recall that Railway Cup final in Croke Park. I remember it. I was broadcasting that game now, but what's your recall?
We had a bit of a do in the Gresham before the Railway Cup final.
Before the match?
That Saturday night.
Yeah.
And there was one player in particular who was a wee bit under the weather.
A player?
A player, I'm not saying who it was now.
It was hardly yourself,
No,
or was it that night you took the pledge, you know?
The first free kick came till Ulster out on the sideline. And Charlie Gallagher, Lord of mercy, and Charlie wagged me out to take it.
Yeah.
I took it and scored. The next one come dead straight in front of the goals. And Charlie sat her down and he walked back and Jory O'Neill says, Charlie, you're not taking that. Paddy's taking it.
Yeah.
I was going to take the hard ones, but
yeah.
Charlie was going to find the easy ones.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be a sensible arrangement, yeah? Yeah?
But in that particular, before that match...
Are you saying you took it?
But the Connacht goalkeeper... What they
Was
call
he
him?
Aidan Brady?
No. He was a Galway man.
Jack Mangan?
No.
Oh, 65, Brian Garrity?
Johnny Garrett.
Johnny Garrett.
Johnny says, Paddy, I'll have a wee bet with you. You'll not bet me tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
This wasn't the Saturday night, was it, in the Gresham?
it wasn't a Gresham. It wasn't Johnny that I was drinking.
Oh, yes. He said, you won't beat me tomorrow.
He beat me tomorrow. So I said, oh, well, I'll try anyway, Johnny. But with 6 minutes to go, we were getting beat by 3 points. And I scored 6 points, one after another.
Yeah.
And we won by 3 points. And Tom Maguire, Lord of mercy, was captain of the team. Tom took the ball off me.
Yeah.
But he says, in about 5 minutes' time, he says, Paddy, I'm giving you that ball because only for you I wouldn't have this cup.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Cyril Dunn.
Now, how many did you score?
I think I scored 11 or 12 and Cyril scored 10 or 11. There was a point of difference.
I think it was
Now-
11-10.
Now the two of us missed a point that day. But I was talking to Cyril Dunn down at Donaghmany, and he was telling me that Matty McDonough wasn't too well.
Well, I met him not too long ago. He's improving.
But Cyril was a good place kicker too.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of good
So
place
it was a
kickers.
hell of a contest. Just no miss. You got 11 frees. You pointed the 11, and Cyril Dunn
But
got 10, and he pointed
But
all.
they weren't all frees. I scored 6 from play and 5 from frees.
Yeah. Yeah. And Paddy, you told me during dinner your memory wasn't all that good.
I
Yeah.
can remember when I played with him. Always like getting the paper, the Irish News on a Monday.
On the Monday. Well, now, did the papers always tell the truth?
No, they didn't. If you played well, somebody else got the headlines.
Yeah. Now, was Sean O'Neill a great Monday player? Yeah.
No, he's a good player all the time.
Right, we leave the Railway Cup. Now, you mentioned that you were a bricklayer. Weren't you a postman for a while?
But Henry was the post at the start for a couple of years, and then he
So
went,
Henry got the job as a
he
postman.
did, and then he went to serve his time, and I took over.
What do you mean by to serve his time?
He served his time as a joiner,
Oh, yes.
so I took over the postman. And
Under the name of Henry.
no. I was in an old bike, postman's bike, and I got a check for a man one day, and I seen him going into the house to get his dinner with the horses. So I left the check sticking on the hands of the plough when he come out.
Yeah. And was it there when he came out?
It was, yes.
And you just didn't bother delivering it. You were going to deliver it in the field, was
I
it?
left it in the field, he would get it in the, there was an election or anything, I gathered up all the election posters and set them afire.
Yeah.
I didn't want the job of delivering it.
So you delivered the letters in bulk. Yeah. So you can take it his career as a postman didn't last that long. Yeah. So you went back to the bricklaying.
I did, yes.
Now, you did spend some of the time while you were supposed to be laying bricks, taking frees.
I did. Well, every job I went on, I took the ball with me.
You took the ball to work every day?
I did, and I remember one time as a foreman, I'll mention no names or anything, as a Ballykilner man too. I arrived on the job at Ballywell, and I put up the goalposts.
Before you started working?
And he come and kicked them down.
Yeah, yeah. Did they go up again?
Oh, they did, yes.
And would you, during the day, practice kicking?
Well, I practiced a bit when I was working in a unit in Beaver Park, kicking the ball through the windies.
Yeah. How big were the windows? Yeah.
Just about that size.
Yeah. The width of a size 5 football. No wonder he didn't miss in 65 in the Railway Cup, no wide in the whole day. Paddy, every person says that it all begins at school. You owe a lot to Master Walsh and the Carricknab School. But we have a little picture, and nobody would have guessed from the picture that you turn into a great footballer.
I know it.
The little fella with the dress is Paddy Docherty. No wonder he couldn't miss. He had 2 nice bandy legs in those days. They say a man with bandy legs never misses. Now, he used to call you the minstrel boy, I believe, the master, and he was often wondering, would you ever play in Croke Park? Is it true that you sent him a message in 1960?
I had an old poem at school, the minstrel boy to the war is going. And Master Welsh says, do you think will the minstrel boy ever see Croke Park?
Yeah.
So when I won my first All-Ireland, I sent him a postcard. The minstrel boy had seen Croke Park.
So you forget nothing.
I don't know, I can remember
Now,
that.
yeah, when you were finished with football, Paddy, for a while, you played in the Jimmy McGee All-Stars, and I believe that you liked that aspect as well, raising money for charities, really. It wasn't all serious football.
No, it wasn't, but I didn't play on Jimmy McGee's. I played with Top Rank.
Top rank, yeah. You didn't never joined Jimmy McGee's?
Oh, Jimmy wouldn't be a fan of mine.
Would he not? Yeah. Why not?
Well, I asked Jody one time after the 87 All-Ireland, I think it was 87, he says, isn't Potts Fallown the best number 12 the UFC?
Yeah.
Jody says, no, he's not. Paddy Docherty's the best number 12.
Yeah.
So Jimmy wasn't a fan of mine.
I see. It's a good job we have a few solicitors here. Now, whatever about Jimmy McGee, I think we'll all agree that Paddy Docherty will be remembered forever as one of the all-time greats. Sharpshooter supreme, record point scorer in 1960. He was in the top 5 of scorers for a record 8 seasons and an inspiration to down teams of his time and later generations. And to show their appreciation, the captains of later years, 91 and 94, Paddy O'Rourke and DJ Kane, they're here tonight as well to be here for Paddy's night. So, Paddy O'Rourke agus DJ Kane, tá siad an seo. As is Ross Carr, and the manager of those two great down teams that played sparkling football. Peter McGrath is here as well. Peter McGrath.